Hello everyone, welcome to Sweetcast. I wanted to talk a little bit specifically about Ms. Marvel and the new relaunch that's going to be happening again. And really, in a more broad sense, I wanted to talk about relaunches in general. So there's a lot of criticism for Ms. Marvel. I'll be honest, I've never read Ms. Marvel. I've only read where she has crossed over into other books, like Spider-Man, I believe, and something else. Apparently it didn't make much of an impression on me, but if there are people that like Ms. Marvel, honestly, I'm like, go for it. I don't care. However, I think this is indicative of a larger problem, and it came to light for me last night. I had the live stream with Peter Samedi from Alterna, and he mentioned that ongoing series are really difficult, or they can be very difficult to sell. And I think the more I'm thinking about this, I think times have changed. So while I think there are valid criticisms of Ms. Marvel, I think there are also larger criticisms for just the format of comics, being in these long ongoing series and trying to make it work. Because Ms. Marvel is certainly not the only place where we've seen this become an issue. So let's see, we're looking at an article here from Bounding Into Comics, and I wanted to share this with you. Marvel Comics will relaunch Ms. Marvel in a brand new series, The Magnificent Ms. Marvel, from writer Saladin Ahmed, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and the artist Minkyu Jung. Ahmed will take over from the G. Willow Wilson, who was picked up to write DC Comics Wonder Woman series. Wilson discussed leaving the book with Entertainment Weekly. And the quote here is, "I started having this conversation with Santa about the possibility of bringing someone else on about a year ago. We had planned up through the end of this year, which would take me to 5 years on the book. This was coming out of a project we originally anticipated would only have about 10 issues, and I will leave having written 60. It just seems so incredible that this character, who was just going to be a fun project for both of us, loosely influenced by Santa's own experience growing up, had become a cultural phenomenon that was going to outlive us both." So again, this is the culture thing. I'm starting to notice patterns here with culture, and I'm beginning to believe that, well, not beginning to believe, I guess, but it's really sinking in for me. Marvel and a lot of these books, they have a bigger goal, at least from their point of view, besides just telling stories and selling books. Their goal is to influence culture, or sort of gain acceptance from a certain viewpoint on culture. Okay, and skipping down, Ahmed is no stranger to Marvel Comics. He's previously written Black Bolt and has most recently been working on Exiles, which features an older version of Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. Okay, and then Ahmed praised Miss Marvel. "I think she's really the face of everything that's new and fresh and exciting and 21st century at Marvel. And with superheroes in general, to be given stewardship of that is a big deal." Okay, so this I take a little bit of an issue with this, and maybe I'm reading a little bit too deeply into it, so I don't want to be critical just for the sake of being critical, but it does seem like the new frontier on storytelling is just changing, immutable characteristics, or trying to appease the folks that are just crying out for diversity, and they want more diversity. That's what it feels like to me. Putting somebody in a unique situation, or putting them in, like, I don't know, just like a great storytelling situation, to me that's more progressive from just like a storytelling standpoint, not politically. And so this is why, like, I can't trust reviews. I've no desire to read Ms. Marvel. I don't want to spend my money on it. But this is part of the reason when I read things like this, I'm so suspicious, and I fear that I will miss someday. I know, and I probably already have, I'm going to miss a good book, or a great book for that matter, because I don't trust what people say. However, I have seen reviews and things like that, and I'm not convinced that I'm really missing out. He continues, "It's always thrilling being given responsibility over a beloved character. It's particularly meaningful for me to be taking over from Willow. She's an incredible writer, and she's a friend." Okay, beloved character, I guess by some... I'm sorry, every time I look at Ms. Marvel, the artwork it just freaks me out. I realize that's part of her superpowers, but I always forget. So every time I see one of the pictures, I'll be like, that anatomy does not look right. Something is wrong. Oh yeah, she can stretch and change the anatomy of her body. I don't know, maybe that's just me. It kind of weirds me out. Okay, without giving too much away, there's going to be a big canvas, Marvel scope happening in this book, while still maintaining an intimate tone that people have loved about it. I think that Kamala's earned her superlative. She's been around for a few years and she's been magnificent. We kind of wanted to announce that this was her leveling up, as she would probably put it. Okay, Ahmed also pointed out that the art tone and style will change from what readers have been accustomed to when it comes to Ms. Marvel books. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised by the change in tone in the art. All of the artists who have worked on Ms. Marvel have been stellar, so it's not anything needs to change, but there's a different tone as we go into this new #1, and the art reflects that. It's not gritty Ms. Marvel, but it's darker and more atmospheric. Okay, so this does make me a little suspicious, because changing the tone, they're not saying it's gritty, because people have been really critical of the word gritty, just because of, honestly, I think it goes back to Batman and the success of the Dark Knight trilogy. People wanted gritty, and then there was too much gritty, and it seems like everything was gritty just for the sake of being gritty. And while it worked for Batman and it works for many other things, it doesn't work for everything. The little bits I have read of Ms. Marvel don't seem gritty to me, or excuse me, he said not gritty, dark and more atmospheric. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but to me this is more than just a new #1. This is changing the tone of the story completely. Okay, and the Magnificent Ms. Marvel #1 will go on sale on March 13th, 2019. So I'm trying to fight my knee-jerk reaction, and every time Marvel is relaunching something new and giving me a new #1, I feel more like, oh, this is a gimmick for sales. That's the knee-jerk reaction that I have. And I also get that same kind of knee-jerk reaction when there's a character that I feel like is just political. Marvel's, and this is with, I guess, just really Marvel and DC, but there's the need for these long ongoing series, and I feel like it gets tiring. And after sort of talking with Peter about ongoing series, it makes me realize also that it might not be a bad idea to just plan, like, why don't they just do Ms. Marvel and then give it like a subtitle or something, and have it go for 6 issues or 10 issues and give it a definitive ending and make it a nice story. But rather than that, it feels like it's just a new #1 for the sake of energizing people and getting those #1 issue sales. But what do I know? Let me know in the comments below. I could really use your support by subscribing if you haven't already, and even if you have, give it a look. They've been messing with subscribers, I guess, so make sure that you're still subscribed. Give me a like, and if you're interested in following me on Twitter, I'm @CastSweet. So I will see you next time.